Narrating Ido Portal. Embodied truth, tribal intelligence, and the limits of modernity. Experience is the teacher that cannot imitate. The body knows before the mind explains. What survives does not argue. Concepts about ancestry, diet, and movement remain abstractions until the body is placed inside a living context. Watching videos, reading books, or adopting narratives about the Paleolithic past produce conviction without comprehension. True understanding begins only when one walks, eats, labors, rests, suffers alongside those whose lives are still governed by necessity rather than convenience. What is learned in such encounters is not a romantic vision of the primitive, but a confrontation with one's own limitations, physical, perceptual, emotional, and organizational. The wild does not confirm beliefs, it dismantles them. Fitness is always contextual. A body optimized by gyms, streets, and climate-controlled interiors dissolves rapidly in mud, jungle heat, and unpredictability. Likewise, bodies forged in wild terrain may appear unimpressive, but modern aesthetic standards yet express resilience, efficiency, and coordination that cannot be simulated indoors. Nobody is universally superior. Each environment reveals different strengths and exposes different fragilities. Intelligence lies not in maximal adaptation to one world, but to the capacity to transition between worlds without collapse. Harsh environments do not necessarily produce harsh lives. Once survival strategies are mastered, many tribal societies spend remarkably little time procuring food, and the majority of time in social interactions, play, ritual, and rest. Chronic stress, depression, and alienation are not inevitable consequences of simplicity. They are artifacts of disconnection. Modern life, despite its abundance, often produces continuous low-grade stress, because it replaces necessity with abstraction and meaning with accumulation. Reality exceeds language. Experiences that fall outside a culture's conceptual vocabulary cannot be shared, even when they are deeply transformative. Seeing one's own world from above, encountering unfamiliar technologies, or living within radically different rhythms may produce silence rather than storytelling. Not because nothing was felt, but because there was no words to contain it. Transformation often arrives without narration. The body heals through graded demands, not prolonged immobilizations. The body heals through graded demands, not prolonged immobilization. Bone, tissue, and nervous system respond to intelligent loading far faster than to massive protection. Rest without movement delays adaptation. Movement without awareness risks damage. Healing is not the absence of stress, but the presence of appropriate stimulus. Why modern systems often lack is trust in the organism's capacity to regulate itself when guided rather than restrained. Bodies reflect terrain. Feet shaped by logs, mud, and wet ground differ profoundly from feet shaped by concrete and shoes. Joint angles, posture, muscle tone, and even injury patterns emerge from environmental demands, not from corrective ideology. What appears wrong from one context may be optimal in another. Technique divorces from environment becomes dogma. Human beings possess a rare capacity to radically reorganize themselves across lifetimes. One may live as a powerlifter, a soldier, a parent, or a nomad and still change. This plasticity is not limitless, but it is far greater than modern culture admits. The danger lies not in transformation, but in fixation, remaining loyal to an identity long after it has ceased to serve life. There are two fundamental strategies of performance. Compensation seals leaks with tension, sticking strength upon dysfunction. Optimization removes the leak itself, allowing force to travel cleanly through the system. Compensation works quickly and impressively, but accumulates internal friction. Optimization works slowly and quietly, but reduces the need for excess strength. Wisdom lies in knowing when to employ each, and in refusing to confuse short-term performance with long-term integrity. True smoothness is not an aesthetic pursuit. It emerges as a side effect of efficient organization, reduced internal collision, and coherent sequencing. When smoothness is chased directly, it becomes theatrical and hollow. What appears chaotic or explosive in performance is often underwritten by deep internal order. No tool is magical. Ropes, kettlebells, sticks, and drills are containers that carry potential content, but only if applied with discernment. Romantic attachment to tools, systems, or historical myths replace inquiry with identity. High-tech tools often conceal low-tech humans. Low-tech tools demand high-tech nervous systems. Modern culture confuses appearance with capacity. Muscles, shapes, and smooth-looking movements no longer reliably signal performance, resilience, or health. Attention is harvested through visual exaggerations and embodied truth. What once correlated with survival has been severed from its cause and reproduced as surface alone. Authentic practice lives at the edge of incompetence. What is already mastered does not educate. Progress emerges from sustained engagement with weakness, often quiet, boring, and invisible to others. The goal is not to look skilled, but to become capable. Specialized practices can enrich a life, but only when grounded in general capacity. When specialization replaces general movement intelligence fragility follows. The border, the base, the more safely one may narrow focus. Generalists survive transitions. Specialists dominate only within protected boundaries. A society obsessed with optimization of appearance, efficiency, and output slowly loses the organism at its center. Performance detached from self produces bodies that look powerful but cannot adapt. Minds that appear confident but fractured under uncertainty. The price of such illusion is paid not immediately, but eventually and always by the body. Truth does not announce itself through ideology, branding, or metrics. It reveals itself through contract and contact and fiction and friction and sustained presence. The body is not fooled by stories, only by neglect.